Let's get educated. That's why we're here, to bring you the stories impacting K-12 classrooms and college campuses. It's time for a little education.
Well, welcome, one and all. I am Katie Petra, joined by David Afirazo.
Yes.
You. We want you to watch the rest of this show. Now,
Share.
less than 25% of students, liberals, conservatives, and independents say that capitalism is a good thing. Yep.
What?
I am shocked, but
is
I'm not
wrong
shocked.
with capitalism?
Because it's the evil capitalist who ruins the world for all of us. Even though we have no idea how an economic system actually works, we just like to say that capitalism is bad. Boo.
And in this, this was years ago where over 60%, I think it was not this last election in 2020, I think the 2016, where right around 60% of millennials and younger kids, young adults, they favored socialism.
Yeah,
which is really astounding. But when you think about what we talk about all the time, the education system, because they were all going for Bernie Sanders. Remember that?
Of course they were.
So anyway, another fact from this survey over at Campus Reform, about 74% of students believe that a professor should be reported to the university for saying something offensive. Well, the question we always ask is, who determines what is offensive and what is not? So let's look at this chart. Katie, go ahead, look at it.
Yeah, well, let's set it up first. We got the North Dakota State University found, it was a survey that they put out. They were the ones who looked at it. The 2023 American College Student Freedom, Progress, and Flourishing Survey. I know that they wanted to call it something nice, but the progress and flourishing are not being really had here because, as we have been just talking about, the viewpoints of some of these people, they don't really have viewpoints as much as they have points being told where to go. Well, it's not a good view, I'll tell you that.
Where to point.
Where to point.
Okay,
yeah.
So only 23% of students said they had a positive view of capitalism. Let's go back to that for a minute. When asked to define capitalism, over half, 56% of students across all political spectrums, liberal, conservative, independent, say they associate it with the free market, and less than 1/3 associate it with cronyism, according to the survey. So there are the numbers again. Look at I'm going to get my glasses on again. So 39% neutral. So what does that mean, Katie? It's like,
they really have no understanding of anything.
Communism, capitalism, I don't know. I just live here.
They don't know what it is. I just take
up space and have mass.
Yeah, basically. Do they even know what mass is? That's in the science world.
Like
they
the atom.
Yeah, let's put that back up because I want everyone to be looking at this.
Yep.
Anytime I think and I would have to do the study myself, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say anytime you talk about economics in an economic system, you're going to have about a third of people who have a strong opinion. You're going to have about a third of the people who are going to one will be in favor, one will be opposed, and the other third have no clue what you're talking about. And these neutral people, I think, have no clue what we're actually talking about. So they were like, I'm neutral about it? I don't know.
So those are the ones that on those man on the street interviews when they're asked, name the country just north of America, and they say New Jersey or Minnesota. Those are the neutral ones.
Those are the neutral ones. Okay, so then you get the people who the people who are strongly opposed to it. If they have a strongly negative view, you can tell how they were educated. The 49% of people who are liberal leaning have the negative view, 1 in 2. On the flip side, on the conservative leaning side, 49% have a positive. So it is like split as to how this works based on, I guess, those who put their political beliefs. Now, I understand most of the time when we talk about capitalism, it is an economic system, and we have that's the system we use. Yeah. Socialism is an economic and a political system that they are too intertwined. They cannot be separated whatsoever. But that's what's so unique about the experiment that our founders put out. When we have a constitutional republic, as like our political system and how we're doing this, and we got a two-party system, and we got the whole, you know, myriad that is the federal government versus state governments. We got it all. We got everything. That's what the Constitution put out there. And then you talk about economics and you bring the money component, but more economics is more than just money. It's your trade and everything else. And it's capitalism. If you go to the other countries, it's socialism here and socialism here. It's not the same as what we got going on in the U.S. And that's where people don't understand.
Yeah.
And they can't understand, like, well, if I believe this thing politically, that means I have to go this way. And
so they're comparing apples to oranges.
I like apples and oranges.
Okay,
let me tell you.
But on that, what we're just looking at, that chart, it said conservatives, 49% of conservatives. I would think it would be a lot more.
You would think, exactly.
And again, that gray area, there's conservative or conservative leaning that are neutral. Well, I mean, those, you might as well say, well, I don't know. So if that's not great news for young people who were
overall, all of them. The whole thing is not great news because
look at the independents,
uneducated.
47%.
They have no understanding of what the independent apolitical. I don't know at this point if the best thing if you're being surveyed by these people is to just say I'm apolitical, I'm staying out of it. Like maybe we're to that point. I don't know. Either way, it's kind of interesting.
Okay, let's talk about the professors now, and this is a different subject that came out. 65% said yes, and the question was, if a professor says something that students deem offensive, should that professor or instructor be reported to the university? So we're talking about censorship. We're talking about, safe spaces, Katie, safe spaces. They're not safe. They heard something that they didn't agree with, that they didn't like to think about because it's critical thinking, so it's offensive. So 65% said that, yes, they should be reported. Now, this is disturbing.
What's even sadder about this, it's not even, it says, you know, it's something that students find offensive. That's what it says on the chart. But in the study, it's saying if they should be reported if it was stating an opinion or fact related to the topics of affirmative action or police shootings or guns or vaccines or gender or biological sex.
So that's even more
sex. So
disturbing.
It's not, it could be the truth, but I find it offensive. And so I think the professor should be reported. That's the scary part.
Yep. So the truth
the
truth about science or biology when it comes to gender and DNA or whatever, that's offensive, even though it's factual based on truth and science. That's factual. What was it? 65% of students said if they deem that offensive, report the professor. So this is the direction we're going. Again, no surprise. Plus, we've had campaigns of misinformation for years on different topics. But anyway, still to come. We've got to move on here. A new study finds less than half of parents feel ready to pay for their child's college education. We're discussing what it means and why it might be a good thing. Stay with us.
More statistics for you today, but now we're going to go on the parents' end of things. Parents say that they don't feel ready to pay for their child's college education.
Aww.
You know what it is?
No surprise.
You know what it is? It's capitalism's fault. That's the argument. That always is the argument. It's not capitalism's fault.
No.
Anyway, a survey from College Avenue Student Loans contained responses from 1,001 parents of current college students. It was conducted by Barnes & Noble College Insights. Now, the study found that only 44% of families say that they feel ready to be able to pay for their kids' education this summer before they begin like his or her freshman year. Now, according to the study, for parents, paying for college ranks at the top of their financial goals. So you have your financial goals. 78% say, yes, that's number one.
Wow.
Paying for my kids' college. Then retirement is at 64%. Building an emergency fund, 43%.
What's that?
It makes me think.
An emergency fund.
Exactly. You should have 6 months worth of living costs. But
They
say. They call it an emergency they don't call it an emergency for nothing. But anyway, They're saying that parents are reprioritizing their financial goals so that their money is split into savings, 67%, investing, 40%, and retirement, 35%. And parents, even with the rising cost of tuition, still see the value of an education from college.
That's mind-boggling to me that they obviously haven't been keeping up with what's going on in the universities and the college world, that they're still seeing value in college education.
Well, here's the thing, David. Unfortunately,
Tell me the thing.
There are people out there who think a piece of paper
is worth something.
And dictates everything.
Yeah.
That if you have that piece of paper, especially if you have a piece of paper that says you are a doctor of, pick a topic, not a real doctor, but, philosophy.
Rumorology.
English.
Someone that puts out rumors. That's a doctor.
Political science, of which I am a master, and
Poli-sci.
they value that. But a doctor, that makes you somehow way more special than everyone else. They haven't been to college lately and know what has actually been taught and what that piece of paper that they come out at the end with, how much weight that actually holds.
So we haven't talked about this in a while. Do you remember what amount of people that graduate from college end up in the actual job that they went to college
the
for?
The percentage was way lower than it should have been.
I'm just like 75% of students
go somewhere else,
work in a different career or different field than what they actually got a degree in or studied for.
Maybe,
Don't
and I
quote
wouldn't
me on
doubt
that
it.
number,
Yeah, we're not.
But it was a high number.
You know what? I'm offended that you said that.
What?
So that fact, even if it is an accurate
So I gotta
fact,
get kicked
we're
out?
going to the last
I'm not the
story here.
professor, though.
Oh, that's a good point.
I'm just a commentator.
A solid point. Now, parents, again, 88% of them are the ones still believing that a college education plays a crucial role in their child's future. We're not saying that college can't be beneficial.
Yes.
I'm just saying it's not the end all be all, that it used to be for a time period when I was growing up, and that was the thing. The tides are turning.
Thank you.
On the value of it. But hey, if you're a dedicated wanting to be educated student,
62.
Put yourself through college and do it by studying in the library every Friday and Saturday night, like the good nerd that you are. And you will find value to that piece of paper.
So I said 70-some%. Our producer just told us it was 62% of college graduates end up working in a different field or different job that they actually studied for or got a college degree in. So there's something.
That is something. All right. Now, when we talk about the costs of colleges,
Yikes.
The costs are higher than anticipated because room and board, 72% of parents were like, well, that was higher than I thought. Child's personal expenses. Parents are like, well, geez. 43% of them said, that's higher than I thought it was. Regarding the school and activity fees, 41% of parents were like, well, that's higher than I thought it was. And the books and supplies, 40% of them said, well, that's higher than I thought it was. And so about 93% of parents plan to help their child pay for college in some capacity. I am totally okay with some capacity. There's a lot to be learned. I have seen what can happen when a parent pays the entire way for their child to go to college. Let's just say it has not ended up well in terms of value of what happens. So these parents who are putting their kids through college or feeling the need, maybe don't stress yourself out so much. You can help your child, but don't just be like, I'm paying for your college. I don't need to retire ever. I guess I'll work until I die. So
let's look at the top 5 methods used to pay for college. I thought this is interesting, Katie Petrick. And if we compare 2023 with even 2019, look at the difference there. First of all, there's merit aid, scholarship and grants, 51%. Federal student loans, more recent 46%. Parent savings and or income, 40%. In 2019, it was 50%. Student savings and or income, so the student actually pays some. That's 36%, pretty much the same as in 2019. And private student loans, 20%. These are methods used to pay for college. Yeah, and keep that up there. What's interesting is you see just in the past 4 years, a 13% drop in the number of scholarships and grants. And I know they are out there. It's just kids apply. Instead, what seems to be happening is the parent savings has decreased 10%. Likely with the state of the economy, parents don't have the money to be able to
supply their children with, whatever expenses they need for this college. And so as you see then, on the other side, the federal student loans have gone up and private student loans have increased. So instead of mom and dad being able to help out the kids, they have to put food on the table as well. Maybe for the rest of the kids in the house, the kids are having to turn to federal student aid, which is just loans, which means you're going to be paying them, we keep the cycle going in terms of putting our next generation workforce into major debt.
But what about student loan forgiveness?
Oh yeah, because again, we have that tree out back where the money grows.
The student loan.
You know what? I'm just going to blame capitalism because that's what they would do. Anyway, coming up, here's a wild one. Students at Cornell University can now avoid getting a required flu shot if they identify a certain way. We're going to talk about it next.
Today's show is sponsored by our friends at MyPillow. Save up to 66% on pristine quality bedding, towels, slippers, signature pillows, and much more when you use the code EDUCATED. That's EDUCATED. Educated. Support this show and a great American company.
Oh, so I guess the flu is back in vogue.
Really?
COVID-19 is done. That was so last season. Flu, you're back in the saddle. But of course, if you are a person of color, then you need not be forced to get the flu vaccine at Cornell University.
What?
Cornell Health's vaccine requirement, FAQ, that's frequently asked questions, states that students who identify as Black, Indigenous, or as a person of color, BIPOC, may have personal concerns about fulfilling the compact requirements based on historical injustices and current events. Students can send a private message to Cornell Health in order to request a non-medical or non-religious exemption for the immunization. For more information, the FAQ links to a page, especially for students of color, it says. Especially. Which is meant to help minority students concerned about the flu vaccine requirement. Because everyone at Cornell is required to get a flu shot. Except now.
Do all colleges do that?
I don't know.
They demand everyone get a flu shot.
I don't remember
what I
getting a
find
flu shot.
is
I never got a flu shot.
really curious words is what I find fascinating here. Students who identify.
Yes.
So does that mean someone who is a Chinese, an Asian, maybe a white person could identify as a Black, Indigenous, person of color? Because you can identify as anything was what we're being told.
That's what the words say, but then if you actually bring it up and call them on it, they will say you are not being authentic. And you could say, I'm living my true self.
Exactly.
Because that's the argument. And they'll be like, how dare you make a mockery of me? They'll turn it back on me and on themselves and say, how dare you make a mockery of my life? And then
I'm living my true self.
That's the same argument.
How dare you?
Over and over.
How dare you tell me who I can identify as?
How dare you?
So, but this is, the point of this is kind of curious because there's a certain maybe discrimination here that some people have to get the shot no matter what, while others can be exempt.
Well, yes, because as it states, we recognize, Cornell does, that due to long-standing systemic racism and health inequities in this country, individuals from some marginalized communities may have concerns about needing to agree to such agreement or requirements. For example, historically, the bodies of Black, Indigenous, and other people of color, BIPOC, have been mistreated and used by people in power, sometimes for profit or medical gain. So
you had me at health inequities. Health inequities.
So
okay, are we learning something here today?
Yeah.
Sorry, this is just bizarre.
The fact that they make it so they put the words in the mouth of everyone who I guess identifies as BIPOC, like that they have no autonomy on their own. Like, why wouldn't you just say, hey, we have a flu shot, kids. If you'd like to take it, take it. If you don't, don't. But no. We have to come up with this garbage and seem like we are trying to help these apparently individuals who, because of their color of their skin, are not able to make choices for themselves because of this systemic racism, and it's just nonsense.
There's a bad premise there too, but is this kind of like virtue signaling? Hey, we're looking out for minorities.
That's all they are doing.
Yeah, so it seems like it's virtue signaling. It seems like it's racist. It seems like it's just, I don't know. I'm just getting the idea that a lot of college students need to be pampered.
Well, and this is like slapping these individuals in the face too. Cornell still wants you to get the shot. Like, they still want the BIPOC community to get the shot, but they say away from campus community, BIPOC individuals are not as likely to have access to preventative services or quality health care. The systems, services, and policies being implemented at Cornell seek to address these inequalities as well as the differential impacts. So they're saying,
access, ladies
you
and
have to come to Cornell because we're going to take care of you, because we understand that because you are a BIPOC that you could not have possibly gotten a flu shot anywhere else. Oh, it's just...
Jeez. Oh, this is Cornell. I mean, yeah, I know they've changed. Some of these institutions have changed over the last 50 to 100 years. Cornell is one of them.
Not. All right, well, we've got our latest Babylon Bee headlines to discuss, so stay right there.
If you have a smartphone, tablet, Roku, or Apple TV, consider downloading the FreedomProject Media app. It's 100% free and includes all of our weekly shows, plus lecture series, archive programs, and award-winning animated videos for families like the Presidential Minute, Battles of America, and Heroes of the West. Don't rely on the social media giants to keep you informed. Simply download the FreedomProject Media app from your app store and allow notifications. And we'll let you know when a new video is ready.
All right, before we wrap up this show for the day, let's take a look at everyone's favorite satire site, The Babylon Bee.
Here are this week's top 5 Babylon Bee headlines.
All right, the producers have picked their favorite headlines. Katie Petrick has not seen any of these. Which one should be number 1, Queen of the Hive? Let's start with MAGA Republicans convene in underground lair to turn planet's heat dial up 3 more notches. Next, McCarthy says 783rd impeachable offense by Biden will be the last straw. Next, doctors encouraged by how well Biden is sleeping without CPAP machine. Next, Trump announces he will make Vivek Ramaswamy,
yeah,
head of tech support in next administration. And finally, colleges announced they will offer gender studies course credits for sitting through Barbie movie. Katie, I've got mine. What's your top pick?
I think with what's happening in the past week here with our old people who are supposed to be in charge, the CPAP one is kind of like, good job.
Is he snoozing there? Or?
He's always snoozing. Yeah, of course he's snoozing there.
Gosh.
But the whole like CPAP machine thing, and then what happened to Mitch the turtle and how he stopped talking just in the middle of talking, and then Dianne Feinstein from California.
Is she still around? Or
great question.
Did she not retire?
Her body is there, but she was supposed to answer like I or no for something, and she started reading like a letter. Like
2 words.
We've talked about this before, but just that's my favorite because it's 2
words.
2
term limits. All right.
What do you got?
My favorite is McCarthy. McCarthy
Kevin
says the 783rd impeachable offense by Biden will be the last straw.
Of course it will.
You know, we let them. I'm not saying Republicans. I'm saying Americans, patriots, conservatives, Christians, independents, people that care about America and the country and want to hold government accountable. The 783rd, once it gets to 782, okay, it's pretty bad. But once you hit 783 impeachable offenses, that'll be the last straw. You know, so
we swear.
That's why I think that's There's too much truth to that, though. That's sad. That makes it unfunny, because we'll just let them continue to get away. Oh, that's the last straw. Oh, then okay, we back off, and then they'll do something else corrupt, or something else will go on. Anyway, I've got to stop it now before my blood pressure goes up. But that's going to wrap up our top headlines of the week. More satire next time, Katie.
If your body can handle it.
Whew.
All right. Well, if you are a fan of our show, please, if you could, like, comment, share, subscribe, let us know how we're doing, all of the things to help us grow, because I could use a little growth, you know. Now, for David and myself, thank you for watching, thank you for listening, and thank you for supporting this show. Until next time, stay educated.